call for UN recognition, United Nations, African Union, USA, EU, media community, and viewers worldwide. Last week, I released the statement that all British government responsible for the extinction of Anyuak in their land due to British involvement and sanction. We are calling for the international community to recognize the reunification of Anyuak land and demand our democratic right to choose for the status of our lands or for our future. We refuse to remain divided between Ethiopia and South Sudan. We cannot wait for the fourth genocide to happen. Though the world turned blind eye to the past genocides without justice. For example, the last genocide was happened in 2003, but the investigation took 9 years. The final report was published in 2012. With all atrocities committed against humankind, against one ethnic, Anyuak. No justice, no reparation, and we cannot wait for the fourth to happen again. Our land cannot remain a hiding place, cannot remain a bunker for criminals who turn their guns against innocent civilians. Our land today, because we lack security, all the criminals from South Sudan, all the criminals from Ethiopia, they come into our lands and hide themselves, and instead of staying in peace, they turn their guns against innocent civilians and armed people. We reject that. Our land shall never be grabbed by force. We reject any form of marginalization and propaganda against us. We disclaim any claim of our territory. For example, after losing power all those years, today anybody can claim our land. Sudanese can draw their map, which include Anyuak land. Tigray people can draw their map and include Anyuak land. Oromo people can draw their map and include Anyuak land. That must end today. In July 2019, I stepped forward to file a petition to recognize Anyuak land as a nation because the entire Paanyuaa or Anyuak country was an independent state. Before the coming of European, the Anyuak state was already 400 years old with their political system, a stable political system. The Anyuak country lies between Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Kenya to the south. It is a land divided by 5 main rivers. This country has 11 administration states. Each state has its own administration. The upright issues between the two Anyuak political systems, Nyek or king, Quer or headmanship. From 19th to the early 20th century, our ancestors faced invasion, but no nation got involved in stopping them. In 1910, there was a king called Akwaicham, decided to modernize our political system and establish coordination between the states. In 1911, he retaliated against invaders and pushed them back. However, British involvement militarily in our land on behalf of Sudanese, whom they did not stop before, to provoke Anyuak in their soil, led our sovereign nation to collapse and put us at risk of extinction from both sides today. The beloved international community. Someone may ask, how did Great Britain got involved in Anyuak land? The first thing we need to know, British are the people who colonized Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, and the rest. The Anyuak location is between Ethiopia and Sudan. There was a multiple agreement divided the Anyuak nation without their consent. Starting in 1902 agreement, though it did not come into effect on the ground, it has an impact on international. 1938, that was the year before. In 1937 was the year when Italians were in charge. But British recognized Anyuak land to be reunified and be given to them. They violate 1902 agreement itself. It needed the whole land of Anyuak in 1932, not 38. And finally, 1956 agreement, which divide Anyuak till now. British involved militarily in 1912. British imposed sanctions on Anyuak nation in 1912. Britain persuaded Ethiopian to take over Gambela and Leopold and Akobo under Sudan. In 1912, in 1930, and in 1932. They persuade, they continue, they exhort Ethiopia to control Gambela. Since the Gambela entered to the Ethiopian Empire in 1956, without a people consent, None of the Ethiopian government has endorsed the people of Gambela as equal citizens with the rest of Ethiopia. Gambela has never been part of Ethiopian central government economically and politically. South Sudan, in the same, turned deaf ear on Anyuak grievances, primarily occupied land issue in Akko, lack of education, insecurity, and development. During the movement, all Anyuak sided with rebellion. After a peace agreement, now government, whom people fight for, need Anyuak to fight again with the people who fight alongside the regime for the land, while they have power and mechanism to solve that peacefully. Instead, their words, the enemy of the movement, for the exchange, for peace to come, they urge to give Anyuak land to the people who fight alongside the regime. Have you seen someone like me in Ethiopian cabinet? As I said, Gambela has never been part of Ethiopia economically and politically. It is a state now under Ethiopia, but they have no presentation in central government. There is no single person from Gambela in any administration. What kind of justice do we need? What kind of justice do we want? After all this humiliation, on behalf of the United Paanyuaa movement and indigenous population who are still at risk for the continuation of the marginalization, ethnic cleansing, and occupation, again, I'm here to declare the reunification of Gambela, Koshala and Akko, known as Paanyuaa or Anyuak country, and call for the following. Any agreement made without our ancestor consent to divide our land and its people, to subject all the generation to genocide and marginalization, are nil and void. Are nil and void. All the three agreements are nil and void. As a United Paanyuaa, we demand dialogue with all nations involved in Anyuak country, starting from British, Egypt, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Sudan. The talk shall focus on the term of referendum. We will have two choices, either to be in union with one country or to restore our nation. Where the voice of majority is found must be recognized and respected. by all sides, by all nations involved, by international community. Number three, the British government responsibility is to apologize and bring Ethiopia and South Sudan to negotiating table under United Nations in Geneva. British government cannot sit in United Nations Security Council with veto power while exposing the tiny society to genocide and marginalization. Suppose we hear, number four, suppose we hear no response for peaceful negotiation within 30 days or two from Britain, Ethiopia, and South Sudan. In that case, it shall be evident to the international community that there is no nation willing to take responsibility for our security and social development. We shall automatically be independent, which means after this duration, the presence in the land will be illegal. Five, all nations involved have only one option between two. One, recognizing our demand for independence or pay reparation for damage. If not one between two, then what? You can kill all. You can kill all of us because you don't want us to be free. You can kill all of us, but leave no everyone. Leave not everyone. The British government is responsible until we regain complete control of our lands. In other words, British must do more to make sure our land return to its sovereignty. Your empire got involved in destroying it. Now it is time for you to get involved again to restore it. United Nations, we understood the root cause of the fundamental problem, which involved five nations. Therefore, it requires UN mediation. As the Bible says in the book of the Proverbs, Proverbs 31, 8 to 9, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the right of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. Today I'm doing the same. Please, can you do the same? May you do the same. Call to recognize Anyuak country reunification, which include Gambela, Pochalana, Ko as nation. This call to action is supported by indigenous and signed by 28.5 million people, political and community leaders across the world. because of numerous threats of genocide, economic, political, and social marginalization against the people of Panama. We call upon the United Nations Security Council to get an emergency session and both to recognize our reunification toward the referendum. Your voice to recognize our call is all about the survival. It is time to restore our nation. It is time to recognize this land toward the referendum. It is time to recognize our security institution to defend our civilians. It is time to give a chance to democracy and the rules of law to rule this land. Our goal is to ensure the significant security is put in place to restore our sovereignty and protect women and children's rights, the rules of law, democracy, development, and accountability towards modernization. We make this full call in support of all efforts to elevate the massive humanitarian crisis engulfing the society for 11 decades. With full recognition, increased protection of civilian life is urgently required. Intentional genocide, land grab, and assimilation as a severe violation of Universal Human Rights Declaration, Article 1. Call upon the international donors and humanitarian organizations to provide funding to fully support the United Paanyuaa movement, which will lead the grassroots campaign for peaceful referendum that will determine the status of Paanyuaa. Call upon Biden and Kamala administration, the people of goodwill, to recognize our call for freedom through peaceful wills. To remind you, when we were isolated from the rest of the world, the US was the only nation that sent Christian missionaries to Anyuak country and set up primary education, even though they were forbidden to do more by the enemy of goods. Second, today, the US is the only nation that hosts many Anyuak refugees in the world. That is why your efforts shall remain paramount in our society. So it is time to hear the people who were overlooked for 11 decades. Call upon East African community to recognize our call for peaceful referendum. You create a home for thousands of refugees based in Kenya, Uganda, and South Sudan when you do that. To Western countries, I know your kindness toward refugees anywhere in the world. However, the best way to help us is to solve the problem that forced people out of their land by recognizing our call for freedom. I call upon China to take away your citizens who are working in mining areas in our region, in our land, until we know who is on our side in this difficult time. To my people who are scattered worldwide, our time has come to determine our future freedom. Let us not blame our ancestors for not calling for international community recognition, but let us do it right now. Above all, our reunification today is the return of our strength, the return of our power. We shall once again fight together and die together. Tell the truth to your friends and to your enemy, even if it means to die, for the path shall set you free. The path shall set you free. If telling the truth and demand for freedom can mean death, I'm ready for that because I know those who do not want us to be free and those who do not want us to come out of poverty will hate me, but they shall always fail. We would rule ourselves even if no nation recognized us, for we understood the root cause of our marginalization better. We are the people who know the pain we are in now. Empires hate us because we reject their roots. We refuse to bow down to them. Neighboring governments hate us because they were told to implement the sanction. Tribe hate us because they were told we are better than them. Finally, people hate us because we live in a blessed land full of abundant resources. However, from today, we are more determined than ever and open for dialogue on all fronts. God said in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, "This day I call heaven and earth as a witness against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." Today, God is witness between the United Nations Security Council and me. However, we choose life, we choose to live, but will the international community, will the United Nations help us achieve this freedom? God is witness. Thank, may God bless you. May God bless Paanyuaa. One land, one people, one Paanyuaa. Thank you, thank you, thank you.